Hi, welcome to BrittKnitsOKC. This channel is going to be about knitting and probably some crochet and maybe some sewing if I ever can get good at that. I've been watching a lot of podcasts lately, and my husband suggested that maybe I could make a vlog or a podcast, so I decided I would try it out. I'm pretty nervous, and I know I'm looking in the wrong place in the camera, but it's really hard not to. My name is Brittany. I can't remember if I've said that yet, but hi. I live in Oklahoma City. I've been knitting for 2 years. I don't even know exactly when, because I stopped and started a bunch of times, and I started a project that was way too advanced for me, really, but that's kind of how I roll, so I learned as I went. But I'll talk about that project some other time, but I have notes, so So I know that knitting podcasts usually start by saying like what you're wearing, and it's usually these like beautiful knit sweaters and things like that, but I have not finished a sweater that fit the way that I like so far, so for myself. So I'm wearing this dress from TheSeamstressOfB on Etsy. It's a store in England called TheSeamstress of Bloomsbury, and they they sew clothes from these vintage patterns, and they're really cool. I'll kind of see if I can get up a little bit so you can see. It's a wrap dress. This one is called the Peggy, and their stuff is really cool. I scroll through there sometimes and just look at it and think, can I make this work? Do I need this? I don't know. I also got, while I'm talking about their shop, I also got this skirt. Let me find the front of it. Yeah, that's the front. This skirt is called the Thelma. It's like an A-line skirt, and it has these cool pockets on the front. Can't really see the pockets because of the lighting and I'm too close, but yeah, it has these cool, like, they look like big like shirt pockets, kind of. Yeah, it's an A-line skirt, and it's really nice. The only thing I don't like about their clothes is I didn't realize that they would be so thin. So like with this skirt, for example, I'm gonna have to wear a slip underneath it, I think. I don't know about the dress, I'll have to see. I got excited about going back to the office, which I'm doing in a couple months, and I thought I need new clothes because being in lockdown, I haven't been as active or walking around as much, and I've gained a little bit of weight, which is fine, but now a lot of my clothes don't fit me. So this section is going to be about finished objects, and the one sweater that I've finished for myself that I can actually wear is this sweater. It's the puff sleeve sweater by Quail Studio, and it's made with 2 types of yarn. One that's lamb's wool and mohair, and then one that is just a strand of mohair, like silk mohair, and you hold them together. I'd never used mohair before, so it was an interesting experience for me. I really like the halo. Don't know if you'll be able to see it on there. You can kind of see it up by the neckline. I really like mohair. I wore it the other day. I finished it. Sorry, I have mohair in my mouth. I finished it right when it started to get warm here, which was not a great time to finish it. But this week we've had a little bit of cold weather, so I got to wear it finally yesterday, and it doesn't bother me. The mohair doesn't bother me. It's not scratchy. I didn't find it itchy. The feel of it was okay, but I think I would like it more fitted. In the pattern book that I got it from, it looked more fitted on the model, and I think that maybe there's a trick to attaching the sleeves, because they just don't puff up the way that the one did on the model. Like, it looks kind of more, I don't know if this is a good way to show this, but it looked kind of more like puffy on the top. And maybe when I did the mattress stitch, I didn't sew it together correctly, which is beginner error, really. So I still have mohair in my mouth. Good grief. So you use what yarn? Kid Classic yarn, which is lamb's wool, mohair, and I think polyamide. And then you use Kidsilk Haze. So I used the colors pumice and steel. So the mohair was the steel color. I love the color of it too. It's so pretty, and it's so soft. Like, it's a really soft sweater. I'm not sure about the fit, and I could take apart the seams. I don't know though. It was a lot of work to seam it together. So I seamed it from the bottom all the way up to the wrist. I could take that apart, but also the mohair kind of like sticky. It got sticky, sort of. Not like literally sticky, but it clung together a lot, and if I missed a stitch or did something wrong and had to go back, it was kind of an ordeal to go back and do it. And I was a little bit afraid that I would break the yarn. And actually when I was seaming, I did break yarn because I pulled it too hard. I'm a little bit aggressive when I seam, which I need to work on. But yeah, I like it, but it's just, maybe you can tell it's a little bit too boxy on me. I don't know, maybe the waist could fit a little bit tighter, and then the sleeve went up. I made a medium, I think. I made the 3rd size, so maybe I should have made a small. I don't know. I measured, and that's the size that the measurements in the pattern said I should go with, so I did. Maybe I won't do that. It's funny because the first thing that I knit for myself is a little bit too small now, but I think it was the right size when I started knitting it, and then I worked on it during the pandemic, and then I gained a little bit, and it doesn't fit. Well, it fits, I could wear it, but it's a little bit too tight, so it's not that comfortable, and I don't think it looks very good. And I'm a little bit picky about the way that my clothes fit and look. So that is that one. And then the other day, so this weekend, I was working on a bunting for, there's a big, my kitchen and my dining room, my kitchen and my living room are connected. And there's a big, like, it's on an arch because it's not curved, but there's a big opening. And for Christmas, I had knit some stars, and that was the first time that I knit in the round on circular needles. So I had this bright idea on Christmas Eve that we needed Christmas decorations because we didn't have any, and I thought it would be fun. You know, it was the middle of the pandemic, and my husband and I were staying at home, so I thought it would be a good idea to start making Christmas decorations on Christmas Eve, because duh, makes sense, right? No. So all I got done was some stars and then some trees, some just like 2D flat trees. The stars are like really pretty and puffy, and then the trees are kind of boring, but they were up until last night, and this last weekend I decided that it was time to take down the Christmas decorations. So I picked up my crochet hook. Before I started knitting, I crocheted for like 10 years and I made some really pretty things, but I got bored with it. You can only double crochet so many times, which I like crocheting, and people make some really beautiful things, but I just got really bored, and I was very jealous of people who could knit and make beautiful sweaters, and I wanted to learn how to do it. I tried a few times and couldn't learn, and the regular with the English style. But so then I was reading online and I found out that you could hold the yarn in your left hand, and after about 10-15 minutes doing that, I was like, well, now I can knit. That's all it took. I tried so many times and that's the only thing that worked. So yeah, so I picked up my crochet hooks again and I made let's read it on here. I made the Moroccan Lanterns Bunting by Tikki Crochet, and it's available on Ravelry. I will insert a picture of it somewhere. I used leftover Berroco, I don't know, Vintage DK and vintage yarn. So I've always been obsessed with those yarns because of the different colors in them. They're just really not vivid, deep colors, and then within them there are these really pretty strands of similar or complementing colors going through it. It's really beautiful yarn. So I used leftovers that I had from other projects on that. I used a blue color. I have some of the yarn here. I used a blue color that I had left over from something, and this one is actually, it's discontinued, which makes me really sad because it's my favorite blue that they had. I don't like blue that much, but this one's really beautiful. I don't know if the color is going to come out on here. There's like reddish, purpley, maroon sort of flecks in it. So it's really pretty. So I used this color and I used this one, which is called Black Currant. This is sort of the red color, the reddish purplish color that's going through the juniper. Black Currant. So I really like that one too. And then I think, I'm not entirely sure what this one was. It was a big ball that I had left over, and I am sure that it's Berroco Vintage, but I don't know if it's DK or if it's the regular vintage, the worsted weight. I don't have the tag for it anymore. I think that it's the color called Overcast. So I used these 3 colors, and then I also, when I made the Christmas bunting, I just used a single piece of yarn across the doorway, and I kind of made it go like this. I'll see if I can insert a picture of it actually up. But I wanted to go fancier now since I have better skills, and I decided that I would learn how to knit I-cord. I've never seen anyone knit I-cord before the other day, and I didn't know how it was made. I had no idea. I thought maybe it might be made like in the round. No clue. So then I pulled up a video and I watched a video on how to make it, and when it was over, the instructional video, I think it was by VeryPink Knits, which she has very good instructional videos if you are trying to learn a new skill. So I pulled it up and I watched it, and by the end of it, I was just like, that's it? That's how you make I-cord? It's the easiest thing. You basically just cast on And let me get my needle so I can kind of show you. So you cast on, I did 3 stitches. You cast on and then you move the work from this side of the needle to this side without turning. You don't turn. You move it to this side and then you knit across. And then, so you knit across and it goes onto the other needle on this side. And then you just move it across and you knit it again. And that's it. That is the entire thing. I've never, I don't know, it's something that just looks so incredibly difficult and you can't really figure out how it's done, and then it's the most simple thing. I thought it was easier than casting on. It was baffling. I'm going to get a drink real quick. So for the next section, I'm going to talk about my whips. I wrote on here that I have 4 whips going right now, but actually I have 5 because I'm trying to felt a toy giraffe that I made, a little squishy giraffe, but I've done it twice now and I don't think I'm doing it right, but I watched another video and I think I'll try one more time, but then he really needs to go in the mail because he's very late. Yeah, so I'm only going to talk about 2 of my whips today because I have too many and I don't want to overdo it in the first episode. Yeah, so the other day I decided that I wanted to knit some socks for my dad. So I've only knit 1 sock and I haven't cast off yet. So I'll talk about that one in another episode too because I haven't quit them. I've just put them on pause for a little while because they're socks that are going to be worn inside and it's getting too warm here for that. So I'm knitting socks. Let me get them. Well, I only have 1 so far and not even 1. I have a start of 1. I'm knitting on circular needles. Okay, I'm using the Moore's Hill socks pattern by Inga from Knitting Tradition or Knitting Traditions. I can't remember. It's both ways on different platforms, so I don't remember. But she's lovely. So I'm using her Moore's Hill socks, and she learned how to knit socks from her, well, sock heels at least, from her grandmother. So she wrote down this pattern because everybody kept asking her how she learned how to knit socks and how she did her heels and stuff. So let me see. Yeah, I'm using that pattern, and this is how far I've gotten so far. So I started these yesterday. My husband went to the yarn store with a list for me because I decided to start knitting them, and I thought I was going to use more of the juniper yarn that I had left over, and then the gray for the band and the heels and the toes, but I didn't have enough gray. That was all I had. I searched all through my stash yarn yesterday and I just didn't have any left. I don't even remember what I used it for. Yeah, so he was very nice and went to a different local yarn store for me, and that store is called Yarnatopia. The cool thing about Oklahoma City is that we have 3 yarn stores kind of around the metro area. They're not all in Oklahoma City, but we have 4. There's one that I haven't been to yet in Norman. So they're all very different though. So the one in Guthrie is a Rowan flagship store. So they mostly have Rowan stuff and they sell the Licca needles, which I love. I'm obsessed. They sell those, and then there's a store in Edmond that I'll talk about in a little bit that has hand-dyed yarn, and that's all they sell, as far as I know, is this hand-dyed yarn that they dye themselves. And then there's this store called Yarnatopia, and they sell a bunch of different kinds. So they have Berroco and I can't remember all of the other names of the yarns that they sell, but they have more of a variety from a lot of different places. Yeah, so I'm knitting this in Berroco Vintage DK because I'm a little bit obsessed. And let me put this somewhere where I won't sit on it and break it, because that would be tragic. I'm knitting this in Berroco Vintage DK, and I'm going to do the ribbing and the heel and the toes in this color called Oats. I'll write down all of the color numbers and all of that down in the description box, because it's just like too much to talk about, and I'm rambly anyway. So this color is called Oats. I don't know if you can see it well. It's kind of like an oatmeal-y color. And then I'm doing one pair of socks in Tide Pool. I hope that comes out. So Tide Pool is really pretty. It has some green, like really, you can kind of see it there, like right there. It has really pretty like green and blue, bright blue. And then I'm knitting another pair in this Douglas fir. Yeah, it's called Douglas fir, and it's a green, like an olivey green. And then I think it has like a tiny bit of yellow in it. That's why I love these yarns. Like, they're so pretty. The depth of color is so cool. But yeah. So this yarn is machine washable. I would not. I know that people do, but maybe it's the time that it takes to knit this stuff or crochet this. I would not put my knits in I mean, I would put them in maybe one of those bags that has holes in it, little holes. Like a laundry bag that you throw in the washer, but I would never dry them ever. Not unless I was wanting to felt them, obviously. So this wool is 52% acrylic, 40% wool, and 8% nylon. So it's good for socks. And I was kind of nervous because since I've only ever started knitting socks in 100% wool, I didn't know what kind of yarn was going to be good for socks, but I knew I wanted a certain look out of it. So I'm really glad. My husband said that when he checked out, the woman at the store asked what I was knitting, and told him that it was great for socks. So that makes me feel good about my decision. I hope this is gonna look okay. I don't know, right now it looks a little funny, but I think that once the heel is on it too, it won't look as weird. Right now, I think they kind of look like they don't go together. Kind of. I don't know if you can really tell. I think it'll be fine though. Once I get the heel on there, it'll be all right. And I'm also hoping that they're the right size because I knit very tightly. I already went up to a 3 needle. So in Inga's instructions, she says to start out with a 2 or 2.5 or a 3. So I did the 3. We'll see what happens. 3mm needles. We'll see if they fit. I think I'm gonna have my brother try them this weekend to see if I'm doing it correctly. So we'll see. So that is that one. And then I also wanted to talk about this shirt that I'm knitting for myself. So I started this a couple weeks ago, I think. I think it's been like 2 weeks. But I haven't been knitting on it every day. I was for a little bit, and then I'm kind of like jumping from project to project right now. This is, well, if I can get it to sit right. This is the Anker Tee by PetiteKnit. Let's see. See, I've started the yoke, and I think I'm on row 6 of the ribbing. It's like a bunch of rows of ribbing, and then with increases in between. So I think it's 1, 2, 3. It's 4 or 5 rows, like sections of ribbing, and then the rest is, I think you split for the arms. I've never done a top-down sweater before, so I'm not exactly sure how that works yet. I'm almost there. Yeah. I like it. I really hate doing ribbing though. I don't know what I was thinking when I was like, that's so pretty, I'm gonna knit that sweater. It is pretty, but I'm really tired of doing ribbing. But I'm almost done. I only have a few more rows on this section and then 1 more rib section, and that is it. And the rest of the sweater I think is in stockinette, so that's good. And for that I'm using yarn from that indie dyer in Edmond, which is just like a suburb of Oklahoma City. And her shop is called A Chick That Knits. So there's her logo. And this color is called Charcoal. So it's kind of a black, and it has some light spots in it. I just think it's really pretty. And I'm hoping that the shirt isn't going to be too, like, I hope the holes kind of shrink up, because there's little holes. You're supposed to knit through the back loop when you're doing, I think after you do the increases, but it's been making these little holes. But you're supposed to knit through the back loop, it says, to avoid making the holes. So maybe it's just the yarn is thin or what, but you can kind of see the little holes here. I'm hoping those kind of disappear when it's on you, because I can't be wearing shirts with holes to work. I kind of work in a, I work in an office, so it's pretty, not conservative, you have to wear office clothes, so yeah. So I'm hoping I can wear it with skirts and maybe with jeans on Fridays and stuff, and maybe it'll look nice. I'm pretty excited about that shirt. I'm enjoying the not knitting flat. I like knitting in the round, and I'm excited to actually do the top down part. Let's see. So, and that yarn that was my acquisitions for this week, because I sent my husband yesterday, I think it was yesterday, for the vintage yarn, and then I got the yarn from A Chick That Knits, I think like 2 weeks ago. I also got some other yarn from them, but I have a lot of things in my queue on Ravelry. I'm going to make another like kind of t-shirt. They don't really look like t-shirts to me because I don't like wearing t-shirts. Like a summer short sleeve summery top. So I'm gonna make one of those with some more of this yarn, but not this color. I got different colors. So we'll see. I'll talk about that when I actually start it, whenever that is. I'm a pretty slow knitter, so we'll see. We will see. Yeah. And I wanted to do, I've seen a lot of other podcasters who are doing recommendations, and I think it's really cool because that's how I find most of the podcasters that I like listening to, or watching rather. So yeah, I wanted to do that. So today I'm going to recommend Free Your Sheep, and that's made by a German woman named Anastasia who's living in England, and I really like her channel. She knits some cool stuff, and she's also only been knitting for a couple years, so it really motivates me to be able to do things that are a little out of my comfort zone. And she's doing test knits and stuff already, which blows my mind, but she seems really cool. And today I was watching her older videos, and because I do that, I just like go back and start from the beginning if I find someone that I like. And I found out she's a pilot, which is really cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I have for today. You guys should check out Anastasia's channel, Free Your Sheep, and I think that's her Instagram too. Yeah, so I also have an Instagram. You can find me on there at BrittKnitsOKC, and hopefully this keeps going. I've enjoyed doing it, and I really like talking about knitting and showing off things that I make. So yeah, yes, that's it for today. Wear your mask, stay safe, make smart decisions, and happy knitting. Bye.